And this economy, Lord knows there's some people so pissed. But I was thinking I was going to do something where like get into everything. We could talk about abortion, immigration, all these different things. We're going to, ramp back up slowly. I mean, President Trump obviously is not going anywhere. So it'll just be easier to talk about the other things, something like, you know, a, a national abortion ban or something like immigration, as those laws do or don't get put into play. It's not going to be something like the student loans where we're just going to keep on talking about it indefinitely. Like student loans is like no longer an issue. Democrats didn't even talk about it at all. Vice President Harris didn't even bring up student loans, I believe, at all during this campaign. But hey, we're gonna get into the economy because we got Trump's tax cuts. They're scheduled to, and not were, but they're scheduled to end at the end of 2025. President Trump is going to be back in office, and he's looking to extend those and make them permanent, and also have some other changes on there. But they're not going to be permanent. Another president can get in and just make some new tax laws. So permanent meaning they're going to be indefinite until somebody else changes them, which at some point in time, there will be another Democratic president and they'll probably change them, or even a new Republican president. They might change them as well. But let's get into it, y'all. 5 ways Trump's next presidency could affect the U.S. economy and your money. Here, I still got the different setup too. So, we got the old little screen sharing still going. All right, here we go. And this was by CBS Money Watch by Amy Peachy, edited by Elan Allen Schurter. Here we go, y'all. President-elect Donald Trump's victory in the November 5th election highlights the frustration of millions of voters, with many Americans noting in exit polls on Tuesday that they're still hurting from the highest inflation in 40 years and dissatisfied with the nation's economic trajectory. I want to be very clear. You can say that President Trump is the reason the inflation occurred. However, he was not the sitting president when the inflation occurred, and that's how it works. Whoever was sitting, that's who's going to have to deal with it. Just like being quarterback, right? You get all the credit you get all the credit when they lose. You get supposed to take none of the credit when you win, right? I mean, it's just that simple. Unfortunately, as far as from Democrats' perspective, or a Democrat perspective, President Biden, who's still President Biden, but inflation, all that stuff occurred when he was in office. It's that simple. So he's going to get tagged with it. That's just how it's going to work, and you got to understand that from a Democrat standpoint. Also, too, I mean, at the end of the day, Democrats, there are a lot of things that people on the left are worried about occurring, and I think the biggest thing is that the Senate was lost by Democrats. You had control of the Senate. As far as Democrats, they lost it, and now they may have to deal with those repercussions because the Senate, if the Democrats still control that majority vote, that 51 plus, that simple majority, they could have blocked any Supreme Justice nominees that President Trump put up, and they could make sure that no national abortion ban would get through. Senators, even though we have the midterm elections, or we vote technically every 2 years, senators are elected for 6 years. It'd be different if it was representatives or Congress, but senators are in their seats for 6 years. Representatives, they're in their seats only for 2 years. So if you were to cap it blue and these seats didn't flip in the Senate, you'd have been good for the next 6 years in principle. All right, as long as no one passed away, stepped down, anything like that. But that's something that I think a lot of people miss as far as how important the Senate is. Senate is arguably the most important part as far as how things get done in the federal government from a legislative standpoint. The president can't just come in and just do whatever they want. Right? They have executive orders, but that's to enable or enhance the power of the executive branch / all the federal agencies that we have. That's what the president can do. But Trump just can't get up in there and pass a law or put someone on the bench in the Supreme Court. That's not how it works at all. But since everything is looking red, he's going to be in a position where he can get things passed easier. And that's the part I think people are missing. Trump ran a campaign that vowed to tackle those issues as far as the economy and inflation, pledging to end the inflation nightmare and bring prices down very quickly. He also offered a myriad of tax cuts to various groups, ranging from senior citizens to homeowners, as well as to finance some of those cuts through new tariffs on imports from China and other nations, and to deport millions of undocumented immigrants. I guess we might be getting into all the issues in this article again. I do not read these articles ahead of time. Shout out to the first-time listeners, but those look like those might be the 5 points we're going to see. In the aftermath of Trump's win, economists and policy experts are assessing how those policies might impact the economy as well as consumers' wallets. Already, Wall Street is predicting that his policies could boost corporate growth, sending the S&P 500 by as much as 2.2% on Wednesday. Yes, the stock market went dumb on Wednesday. Yesterday, technically, you guys hearing this on a Friday. It's Thursday. I'm recording this, but on Wednesday, the stock market went crazy once it reopened after President Trump was elected again to be the 47th president of the United States. I think the Dow was up like 3.5%. That's a crazy, crazy high increase for just one day. One day, you look for like a 1% return in one day. That's like, ooh, like let me see the average stock market return this day. Because I'd be surprised the average stock market return in one day is 1%. Yeah, the average daily that's day trading. It's not giving me. Yeah, the average daily is anywhere from 1%, -1% to 1%. So that's it can average -1% as well as a 2% swing. But I mean, you're talking about 3.5% or 2.2. That was 3.5, I think 3.57, something like that. But we got 2.2 here for the S&P 500. That's crazy. All right. But some experts note Trump's plans may boost inflation, potentially hurting consumers who are hoping for relief at the checkout counter. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. I'm just going to wait to see what they're going to talk about and not just give my thoughts on all the things that President Trump campaigned. The devil will be in the details. Lord have mercy. Ed Mills, Washington policy analyst at investment bank Raymond James, told CBS Money Watch the Trump tax, trade, tariff, and immigration agenda could have significant economic impacts and raise concerns about a second wave of inflation. I mean, again, back to inflation. Inflation, the issue is not inflation. The issue is how high inflation is. All right. Inflation is going to occur every year. They want it to be anywhere from 2 to 4%. The issue when it's above that 4%, okay, close to 10%, which I believe it was in 2022, going into 2023, I believe. The issue is when inflation is so high or is high over multiple years, or when, like we had coming out the pandemic, it's such a quick spike in the inflation. That's the issue. There's not going to be no inflation. All right. So I think that's always the thing when you're looking at these articles in relation to the economy / inflation. When they're talking about he's going to be lowering inflation, not eliminating it. And I think some people think inflation is supposed to be eliminated. It's not. That's not how it works. If you want to continue to have your income increase, then you're going to continue want inflation to occur as well. I don't know how you think you're going to make more money every year at your job and things not to go up in price. That makes no sense. If your wage is if your income, your wage is going to inflate, then prices need to inflate as well. I mean, where do you think your job's getting the money from to pay you? If they're not just laying everybody off but you, I mean, then you're going to have, hella work to do at work. All right.